Okay, alright, on this video, we're just going to look at number 3. Now, we're going to look at the more difficult ones. We have parentheses, and we also have a vertical shift. So we have both shifts going on. So as always, let's get the big picture. Let's get the y values. We're going to get to 3 different y values. Now, the vertical shift, this is what you always want to look at first, is -1. So it tells me the middle point of the S-curve is shifted down 1 unit. So that's at y equals -1. Now, the amplitude here is 3. So it's going to give me the 2 other y values. So if I add 3 to this -1, I'm going to get 2. So I'm going to put y equals 2. And to get the bottom, I subtract 3 from -1, and this is going to give me -4. And I know the S-curve is going down left to right because it's cotangent, and this 3 is a +3 out in front. So again, that really tells me a lot that you need to know about this S-curve. Okay, let's do the details. The period. Now the period's pi divided by the b value. Now it's not 2, this is 1/2 x. So if you take pi divided by 1/2, it's the same as multiplying it by 2. So the period's 2 pi. The increments, if you take 2 pi and divide it by 4, that gives us pi over 2. Okay, the key points. I'm not going to start at x equals 0. Since I have this in parentheses, there's a minus on the inside. I'm going to shift this to the right of x equals 0. And again, to figure this out, you can take what's in parentheses, and to get the starting point, we set it equal to 0. Now you kind of see, the fractions, they're real ugly. I want to get rid of those fractions. I'm going to multiply everything both sides by 2. It's going to get rid of all of these 2's, so I just have x minus pi. And then 2 times this 0 still gives me 0. So you can see, just add pi to each side. I'm going to start at pi. So that's going to be the first x value for the key points is pi. Okay, then I know I'm going to skip the end. Now I see the period is 2 pi. If I start at x equals pi, I know I have to end at x equals 3 pi. So when I do the increments and the key points for the x values, this is where I should end. Okay, I'm going to keep adding pi over 2. So if I add pi over 2 to pi, that's going to give me 3 pi over 2. Okay, add pi over 2 to that, I get 4 pi over 2, which is 2 pi. Add pi over 2 to that, I get 5 pi over 2. And if I add pi over 2 to 5 pi over 2, I get 6 pi over 2, which is 3 pi. Okay, cotangent, I always think cotangent is a little bit easier. Cotangent, I always start with the VA. So these are going to be my 5 y values in order. I'm going to get a VA, then I'm going to get y equals 2, then I'm going to get y equals -1, then I'm going to get y equals -4, and then I'm going to get a VA. So I always follow what I draw for the S-curve in the beginning. So I'm going to get a VA, then I get y equals 2, y equals -1, then y equals -4, and then I end at a VA at 3 pi. So everything shifted to the right pi units and shifted down. Let's say this is pi, here's a VA at pi. At 3 pi over 2, we'll say this is right here, we're up at 2. Let's go 1, 2. Then at 2 pi, we're down at -1, which is down here. Then at 5 pi over 2, we're down at -4. So -2, -3, -4, which is right here. And then we end with a VA. Let's say this is 3 pi. We end with a VA. So this is the middle part. This is where it's going to change its shape for the S-curve. So I always like kind of drawing this how it goes down, and then it goes back up, right to left. So that's our cotangent curve right there. Okay, domain, we'll say all real numbers except x can't equal to 2 VAs, which is at pi and 3 pi. And as always, for tangent, cotangent, our range is all real numbers. Okay, so that was a lot going on there. We shifted that to the right pi units, and we shifted it down 1 unit.